Hi you guys, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. My name is Melanie and today is sort of a continuation from my organizing scraps video and subsequent Smash Your Stash. In the original organizing video I mentioned that I had a bunch of these Felicity Jane collection sheets and that maybe I would add them to like an art journal or something kind of as a start. And I was thinking about this a little bit more and I was thinking, you know what, I think I can make a journal out of these. The paper's good quality and I really love the designs, so what can I do to play around with these? And I think what I came up with is I am going to combine two different patterns. This was my test and I need to tweak it a little bit, but combine two patterns, punch a couple holes for some binder rings, have this fold over, and maybe create a series of pockets, maybe 3x4 pockets that I can tuck journal cards into. So I really like that. What I did in preparation for playing around with this is I actually trimmed off the branding strip. In theory, I could also trim off at the top and just have, you know, that size of a journal, but I like the idea of having some extra space. I don't love the idea of having Felicity Jane on there. And what I think I'm going to do is tweak where this folds over just a little bit. So just, what, maybe half an inch further. And then I have a ton of other scraps that I thought I could pull in. It doesn't have to be white, but if this was over just a little bit, I could span, or if you want to look at it this way, if I had a different color, I could span that entire course and have it disappear. Now, I would trim it so that on the fold, it would only come up to the fold, and then on the other side, which is why I think I want to move this over a little bit, because I don't want the seam to be right. You know, I don't want the seam, I don't want the seam to have anything peeking through it. So if you look at it like this, right, I don't want to see any of the black. So if I just shift it over and do something like this, then I think that will work a little bit better. I hope that makes sense. So what I am going to do next, or what I have done, actually, these are duplicates, is I have gone through all the papers and I've paired them up roughly so that they coordinate. Now, the nice thing about Felicity Jane is that the color palette is quite curated, and so it's easy to pair things up. So what I'm thinking of doing is pairing them up like the following. So I've got Bailey and Mari, Megan and Shay, Jenny and Catherine, Elizabeth and Tori. And I tried to go a little bit from more pastels to brighter to fall colors. I hope you can see that kind of trend. This is June and Capri, Millie and Rebecca, Gabby and Harper, and Taylor and Madison. Okay, so let me get putting the pages together and I will come back and show you how that looks, and then we'll talk about inserts, binders, covers, etc. Okay, so let me tell you how I did this. So I scored on the front facing one, I scored 1 inch and 7.5 inches. So 1 inch, 7.5 inches. Then I flipped it and I scored at 7.5 inches again. If you wanted the actual, like not to flip it, it would be 1 inch, 4.5. So 1 inch, 4.5, 7.5. And that would be it. And the pockets are not going to be exactly equal. And I'm okay with that. I am okay with them being slightly different because I have to put the tape somewhere. And to be honest, I just didn't want to do the math. So that's basically it, right? So 1 inch, 4.5, 7.5, and then whatever's left over. Okay, and so then for the flip side, I found it easier to flip it upside down and score it. Okay, so this was the front. When we look at it this way, these are going to be sandwiched together. So this is the front, and you flip it over, this is the back. Well, if you look at the markings on the back, we've got the 1 inch here, 4.5 here, 7.5 here. So it's just easier to flip it this way. Right now the alignments are the same. Okay. If you want to do it in reverse, it is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 this way, 7.5, and then 1 inch. Okay, so I did that for all of these, and I did pair them up front to back so that hopefully I don't screw up as I'm going through this. Okay, so let me show you how I'm going to adhere these together. We're going to take what I'm calling the front facing side, we're going to flip it over. We are going to apply adhesive along the score lines. So this middle piece here, there's a score line, oops, right here, and right here. There's a score line for the 1 inch here. So you'll see this one's quite a bit smaller than this, so I do not want to add any tape on the interior of this one. And so we're going to add tape there, tape there, tape here, and tape here, and then we're going to add tape along each of the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to use double-sided tape. I found it easier to work with than liquid adhesive, but if that's all you got, I'm sure you can make it work. And like I said, I use score lines just because it was easier for me to figure out where to align things. If you just drew the lines, of course, the same would apply regardless. Okay, and then before we do the bottom, let's just double check that that is the bottom. Yes. So now I'm going to put like pocket cards in here, so I'm not too worried about it having a perfect seal for these pockets because, you know, nothing's going to fall through. Okay, so this is going to be the folding flap on this side. This is the main page, so I am going to just pull that over for now. This is the back side. Make sure I get this going the right way. Yeah, so this is the back side. Back side, front side with tape. I'm going to flip this over because what I want to do is I want to pull off the tape on the 1 inch. You'll notice I did 2 strands of tape there. That is because this is where the holes are going to go and I want it to be extra secure. And I'm just going to align this. Again, if you want to check one last time, this should be the bottom and this should be the bottom. Should be 1 inch score on either side. We're just going to align this. Should looks good. Give that a good press. So at this point, the only thing that is adhering it are that 1 inch. So now I'm going to take the tape off of this piece, and this piece. I am not going to touch anything in that last panel. Okay. And when I first started off, I did it the opposite way, but I was having some buckling, and so I found this way was a little better to make sure that I didn't have any buckling that happens, because of course we're wrapping one piece around another, so one side's gotta give. Okay, so that should be good now at this point. So still loose. We're going to flip this back over. This is the fold that we want to do, so we're going to fold this across. We're going to give this a good press with the bone folder. We're then going to take this piece. Yes, it has a score line on it. We're not worried about that. That's just to help guide it. But what we really wanted to do is we want to fold it around. Fold it around this piece of paper. And if it means that this is going to come a little bit short, which it will, because of course remember it's going around a piece of paper, then that's fine. So we're going to give that a good press. We can always trim that excess bit off afterwards. We are going to come back this way, just make sure that we have a good fold. happy with that. So let's peel off the tape and adhere this down. Now you still may get a little bit, I don't want to call it buckling. If you do it this way, you shouldn't have a ton, but there will still be a little bit of adjusting. I don't know, is that even the right word? I don't know. I'll show you what I mean here. Okay, so we're gonna fold this back over. Don't even try to match up this side, you guys. Just let it go where it's gonna go. Okay, so now this side looks great, but this side, when you go over, you'll notice, I don't know if you can see it. See how it's got a little bit of a lip? And that's because now that it's folded out, it doesn't need to go around anything. So what I like to do is just lay this flat. I'm going to take my bone folder again, and I'm just going to kind of flatten that crease. It still will fold, but when you open it up this way, you don't get so much movement. Okay, so let's trim off this extra bit. And now we're going to punch some half circle tabs or notches, I guess, in each of the pockets, just so that we can pull out stuff. See? Still get a little bit of buckling, but that's okay. It's just a little bit. You're never going to notice it by the time you get tags and stuff in there. Now, I want to show you the way this is going to come together with multiple pages. So here's one set. Here's another, and then another. When you open them up, each one of these is centered on the pocket. I did not center these two on each other, and I did that purposefully. If I had centered this one on here, it would be over on this side of the pocket, and I thought that would look, I don't know, maybe seem a little bit weird. So I opted to stagger it a little bit. I'm okay with that, but what I do want is that all of these, when they're in the book, to align. So I will still have some consistent lines across. So what that means is I'm going to take one of my pages, lay it out, take a pencil, and I'm just going to mark those I'm just going to mark those half circles. Good thing it's pencil and not pen. Then we're going to take, I'm using a 1 1/4 inch circle punch. We're just going to line that up. Give that a punch. Now I noticed, for instance, on this one I've got a little bit of a lip from the other side. I'm not going to worry about it, but if that bothers you, now would be the time to trim everything up so that it is nice and level. Okay, so I've punched holes on all the sides, and I've also covered up the Felicity Jane label, and I think these are looking pretty good. So the next thing I'm going to do is pull out my pocket cards from Felicity Jane, and we'll start filling some of the pockets. Now, I did use up all of the sheets because the few extras that I had duplicates, I used them for the strips. I figured that way the color, white color, would match better. The only thing I have left are these two sheets, and I purposely left them because I thought this would make a good cover, front and back maybe. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to make it work, but that's what I have in reserve. So let's go pull out pocket cards. Okay, so this is my stack of Felicity Jane Project Life cards. I also had these 3 acetate ones. I think these might have been from Pink Fresh, but I thought they would be kind of cute to use in this book, so I'm going to definitely do 3. And I need 3 cards per set, so per page. So get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I need 24 cards, plus anything that pops out that I might want to use to embellish. My thought is I could add photos to the front, but maybe like a 3x4 card as embellishment, or some sort of embellishment cluster. I don't know. We'll see what I come up with. So let me go through these and I'll be right back. So I'm now going to work on the cover. I just have 2 scrap pieces of chipboard. This is actually pretty thick chipboard. It probably was a 12x12 sheet at one point in time. Like I said, I've got these here that I'm thinking I will maybe do as a band across. Obviously it's going to need a little bit more. So I think what I'm going to do is trim these down to size, punch holes in, right? So trim down to size, probably with like a 1/4 inch all the way around. Cover them in white and then decorate them. So I will come back and show you how that looks. So this is what the covers are looking like. I took some Felicity Jane, some of the solid cardstock that they have, and then I took some paper from the Sarah collection that I had in my stash to do the backs. And the reason why I picked yellow is because the front album of the first page in the album is going to be this and has yellow. It's not an exact match of a yellow, but it's close enough. And then at the back, the last page also has some yellow in it. So that's why I went with yellow. So it's starting to come together. Now let's get decorating the cover. Here is what the covers are looking like. I did wrap this around. I had the piece of paper, so why not? To give it some interest on the inside. I can always add a journal card or a photo or something on either side if I so desired. And then the back is the same. Now, the only thing I need to do is come up with some sort of image for the front. Just ties some ribbon to the tags, and I think I'm done. Let's see what I come up with. So here is the completed album. I did tie a little bit of ribbon on the edges just because I don't like it when the hinge scrolls or rolls into the book. I just don't like it. That'll prevent it from happening. I left them a little long. I'm not sure if I like them that long. I might trim them down a little bit more, but you know, we'll see. The circle pom-pom piece is a Maggie Holmes, and the inside is from a 3x4 pocket card. The bow is also from Maggie Holmes, but I thought that went well with the overall look of the book. Kept it very simple, and happy little moments can be applied to just about anything. So I figured that was a good either title or subtitle. If I want to be more specific, I can always add something down here. Like for instance, if this was a vacation album, I could put the location of the vacation or the time period. Okay, and so basically the model of the book you've already seen, but I'm just going to flip through it one last time. I can add photos, journaling boxes, anything on the front cover if I wish, more decorative elements. Each page flips out and has pocket cards inside. Some of them are a little tight, so you know, when I go to add photos on, I may want to trim them down a little bit. Some of them I did trim down, like this specifically, because I knew that pocket would be a little tight. I added this lace trim at the top. I just stapled it on. I tried to do, you know, the typical tag topper, but it just wasn't getting tight enough and was coming undone. So I thought the staples worked pretty well. This is the same ribbon or same lace that I used on the rings. And this is where you start to see the beauty of Felicity Jane and the collection. So everything just goes really well together, regardless of what I've paired. I staggered it so that these tags here have grosgrain ribbon instead of the lace, just to switch things up. And some of the pages I did add a decorative element. Not all, just whatever I had that I thought would work well. This one I added the card on the back side. And of course, when I go to fill this in, I can always add more cards, etc. These are just meant to be jumping off points. I don't know if I should do this one. 8 pages in total, so 24 pockets. And like I said, I used up all of the covers that I had. I only had 2 that I used, you know, as, what do you call it? Only 2 were sacrificed in trying to figure out the album. So that is this little mini album. I hope this encourages you to look at packaging that you may have received in a different way, that maybe we can repurpose it. Let me know if this is something you would do, or please share below what you have done with packaging. I'd love to hear what your ideas are. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and until next time, happy crafting.